G'day there guys, I've spent 50% of my life in this chair and I'm not planning on stopping anytime soon. Gotta pump those numbers up, right? It's your main man Markee and welcome back to another episode of r/AmiTheA. Now if you love today's bloody good content, I want you to sit back, relax, chuck a prawn on the barbie and get ready for some even more bloody good content. Let's go. Posted by user A Lot of Egg Cups. Titled, Am I the a-hole for getting frustrated with my mum for being in the kitchen at the same time as me? So I, 18 female, have a super repetitive and predictable routine. Every morning at 9:55, I go into the kitchen and pack my lunch for work. Every morning at 9:55, my mum decides she absolutely needs to be in the kitchen as well, emptying the garbage, rearranging stuff in the cupboards, wiping down the counter, whatever. But it's like she waits for me to go make my lunch and then comes in. The kitchen isn't very big, so she's always bumping into me while I'm cutting stuff up or standing in front of cupboards that I need to get into. I've asked her politely a couple of times if she could wait until I'm done. I take 10 minutes max, but she snapped at me for ordering her around in her own house. Yesterday, I was cutting up vegetables, and she came in to wash dishes and ended up bumping into me while I was using the knife. I got a small surface level cut on my finger. It honestly wasn't bad, but I was so frustrated with her that I snapped and said, maybe if you didn't insist on being my personal backpack every morning, this wouldn't have happened. My parents are saying I'm an a-hole for snapping at her for this, but my sister is siding with me. I feel bad for being rude, but I also think it was partially justified on my end. Am I the a-hole? I don't think so. This is a little bit of a tiff between two people in one household. I feel like she absolutely knows that you get up at 9:55 and want to be in the kitchen at that time. This seems really rude and inconsiderate of your mum to continuously do this to you and make it a habit and then gaslight you for being the problem here. Obviously, we're getting some very limited information, but from what you've given me, morally, I can make the judgment that you're not the a-hole in this instance. It seems like she was intentionally looking for this response, she got it, and now she's acting up because she probably enjoys the drama. I don't know a good way around this one, but for what it's worth, not the a-hole. Now in the comments, Deleted says, snapping at your mum is not nice, but I understand the frustration. Maybe do a little experiment and try getting in the kitchen earlier, like maybe 9:30 to pack your lunch. If she goes out of her way to be there earlier, then she's definitely the a-hole. And edit, due to OP's response, I update my comment to a soft not the a-hole because it sounds like your mum just wants to be around you or your presence in the kitchen reminds her of things to do. And OP says, I've tried. I've gone in at 9:45, 9:30, 10, even as early as 8:30. She does the same thing no matter what when I'm in the kitchen. Not the a-hole. I see that she follows you into the kitchen no matter what time you go in. Can you try to psych her out? Like, go in at 8:30, and when she follows you in, tell her she can have the kitchen, but just let you know when she's done. Then you can just go about getting ready for work while waiting for her to finish. Would something like that work? Possibly. Does she leave the kitchen when you leave? Yes. Follows me in, then leaves and sits back down on the couch and resumes her previous task when I leave. Catenation says, not the a-hole. All the other responses, like she just wants to spend time with you, are just completely weird. OP has changed their schedule multiple times trying to avoid this issue and spoken to mum before snapping after getting injured. Mum can chat with OP at a reasonable distance if she's so hard up for quality time. I severely doubt this is the reason she's doing this. If it is, it sounds like a cool way to make your kid hate you and not want to spend time with you ever. This is really unacceptable behavior no matter who owns the kitchen, but OP, you do super need to move out. It kind of feels like mum is effing your lunch making because she's mad you're saving up money to move out. No matter how much they insist you should stay until the end of your first year of uni, get the hell out as soon as possible and get those boundaries happening, and then move around your own kitchen freely and unencumbered whenever you want to. I can't believe so many people are defending the mum. She's clearly being an a-hole. She knows she's in the way, she knows it's causing problems, she knows OP has made efforts to change routine and talk to her about it. She just doesn't care. Now OP has been injured, and I don't think it matters how little. This woman is determined to be in the way, in the kitchen only when OP needs it, and screw everyone else. If she cared, then she'd have acted like a normal decent human when OP got cut. Said sorry, checked if OP was okay, and then got out of the way. Instead, it's shouting and getting her husband to shout at OP for disrespecting his wife in her home, instead of acknowledging that her power games caused an injury, which was totally avoidable. Move out soon, OP. Parents like this, you can't win. Not the a-hole. And now on to the update. I got a much bigger response on my original post than I ever thought I would. A couple hours after I posted it, I realized I left a lot of information out and wanted to clarify some things, as well as provide an update on the situation. Some people asked if I pay rent or own the house. It's my parents' house and I don't pay rent. I can't afford to move out right now, and my parents don't want to let me move out until after my first year of uni. Some people also asked if I'm autistic. I have ADHD, which shares a lot of traits with autism. I stick to a strict routine because it's the only way I'm able to remember to do everything that I need to do in the morning. A lot of people suggested packing my lunch at a different time, or even the night before. I have tried this before, but no matter what time I went into the kitchen, my mum followed. I tried it again a couple of times since making the post, and she continued to follow me. I took the advice of some people who told me to try going into the kitchen as usual, but to leave when my mum got in my way and tell her I'd wait until she was finished. I even made sure the kitchen was spotless the night before. Dishwasher emptied, no disher in the sink, counters wiped down, and trash emptied. She followed me in, and when I said I'd wait, she said she was done. Almost as soon as I went back in, she followed me in again and claimed she had forgotten to do something. A lot of people pointed out that she might just want to spend time with me, which I hadn't thought of before. I think that maybe me getting a job, finishing high school, and starting to work towards getting my driver's license made her realize I'm growing up and won't be dependent on her or living at home for much longer. Maybe she just wants to spend as much time with me as she can before I go, or maybe she doesn't feel as mum as she did before. What finally worked was, after dinner a couple of nights ago, asking her to pack some leftovers from dinner in a separate container for me to take for lunch the next day. She seemed really happy that I asked, and didn't follow me into the kitchen the next morning. She even left a sticky note with a smiley face on top of the container. I also asked if she could drive me to work, which gave us the chance to chat and to catch up in the car. I think she just missed feeling like I need her, which I always will. Even though we butt heads sometimes, she'll always be my mum, and I think I just need to find a way to remind her of that. I wrote my original post feeling super frustrated at my mum, but I teared up a bit finishing this update. Sending a massive thank you to all the kind people who commented and helped me work this out. And Vuk A says, I'm so glad that this situation got sorted out and has such a wholesome ending. Communication is important in every relationship, but it always seems to be the one thing people don't do until it's too late. Hopefully, whenever other issues come up in life, you can look back on this as an important life lesson. My communication would definitely have sounded hostile. Mum, could you please get out from under my feet before I trip over you? Mine was, because this has happened, me just freaking out, and it actually was part of what led to my ADHD diagnosis. Kind of ironic that OP also has ADHD. Patamos Cries Sue says, this is a really good and sweet outcome. I'm glad you and your mum are getting the chance to work it out in a more unorthodox way. EllieCat95 says, I read your original, and I thought it was more the case of your mum wanting time with you than her trying to be purposefully annoying. I'm so glad things worked out, and that you guys are in a better place. As a mum to a 3-year-old, my mind immediately went to how he's becoming frustrated with me when I help him put on socks and buckle his car seat lately because he wants to do it himself. And now I'm crying. Mamas don't know how to handle their babies growing up. It's misguided at times, but it's just love. And if you want to skip to the next story, you're more than welcome to. I'm just going to read these comments because, it's a little bit of positivity these days. Splatterfilm says, "Oh heavens, this is an unexpected and totally sweet conclusion. Any chance you could squeeze in 15 minutes or so in the morning to have a cup of tea or coffee with your mum? Letting her help with little things is a great compromise, but making some time to just hang out would probably help too. Assure her that she won't be losing you, even if you don't need her as much anymore, and set the foundations for a more grown-up, familial dynamic." This reminds me of a situation I had in college. My mum made a huge stink that she wanted us all to take turns making dinner because she was sick of making dinner every night, which, fair enough. But then no matter whose night it was to make dinner, she'd come in to play sous chef and chat. So, she still spent the same amount of time on dinner every night. Turns out, she wasn't sick of making dinner every night. She was sick of being alone in the kitchen every evening, while whichever of my sibs and I were home, hung out in the living room and patio with my dad. One of my first lightbulb moments as a young adult that sometimes people don't necessarily ask for exactly what they need. Posted by user Wannabe Bogged, titled, "Would I be the a-hole if I refused to celebrate my birthday?" Hello Reddit, first time poster, on mobile and it's 4 a.m. So my family has always heavily favoured my brother. Both he and I have been aware of this for a long time. At this point in my life, I'm very much used to the favouritism and constantly being overlooked by my parents, and even though it still hurts, I try not to let it get to me too much. So I turned 16 last year, and my brother turned 17. So, for his birthday, we went all out. We decorated, got him a custom cake, and pretty much everything he could have asked for. Well over $1,000 was spent on his gifts alone, and the whole party came out at about $3,000. After the hype of his party, my parents began bringing up my birthday and outright promised that they were going to make my 16th birthday absolutely amazing. Honestly, I was really excited. I usually try not to let myself get my hopes up with them, but after I saw what they'd done for my brother, I thought that maybe they'd actually do something nice for me too. So my birthday comes up and nothing happens. I didn't think much of it. A month passes, nothing. 2, nothing. 3, 4, 5. I pretty much lost all hope when it got to 6 months. Honestly, I was devastated. It's now been 9 months and my next birthday is almost here. I know that my parents have probably forgotten at this point, but I'm still extremely hurt. It wasn't just the thing of not getting a birthday, it was the fact that they gave me so much hope, and did so much for my brother, and then I was left with nothing. It's like they forgot that they had 2 kids, and so they spent all their love on one and forgot about the other. I've tried to talk to them about my birthday before, and about how hurt I was, but they brushed it off. Now, with my birthday getting closer, I don't really want to celebrate anymore. I'm still really upset, and I've become extremely bitter even thinking about my birthday at this point. I feel like it's finally dawned on me that they're never going to care about me as much as they do about him, and I honestly don't think there's anything they can do to make this up to me at this point. My brother knows how hurt I am by this, and he said that I wouldn't be the a-hole if I refused to let them celebrate. However, I also told a friend, and she told me that I was an a-hole and just being petty, and that it'll just start a fight. I feel like my friend is right about it starting a fight, but at the same time I feel like it'll finally get it through to them just how badly they hurt me. I'm honestly just really conflicted. So, would I be the a-hole if I refused to celebrate my birthday? I mean, don't celebrate it with them if you don't want to, but I feel like you'd just be doing yourself a disservice if you're the type that likes to celebrate birthdays and you didn't just go out with your friends or do something with your friends or by yourself for your birthday. I can totally respect you not wanting to have a birthday party because of them, but I wouldn't, rule it out entirely. Although given their actions, it's no wonder you're feeling hurt, and maybe get together with your brother and organize something, I would think. I'd say not the a-hole for this one. In the comments, Moonflower says, not the a-hole. This is a really strange sequence of events if there is no missing information, which would explain why they forgot to organize the promised big celebration. But as it stands, it would be reasonable to tell them that you don't want to risk the same disappointment, and perhaps to plan something with your friends instead. And OP replies, I used forget a bit loosely, as I didn't have enough characters to elaborate fully. It was more that they promised the party, but never actually had any intention of actually doing it. For a while, they said that they were still going to do it, but eventually they just forgot about the situation as a whole. Honestly, the fact that your brother agrees with you should be a sign that you're in the right. Maybe plan something like going out to dinner with your brother and a few friends, and don't invite your parents. It seems your brother genuinely cares about you, so it might help you feel less lonely to do something with him. Not the a-hole. I'm so sorry your parents are being like this. It's terrible. Your friend is just wrong here. Thing is, doesn't sound like your family would even be trying to celebrate your 17th, especially since your brother will turn 18, unless he already has. I feel like your brother should demand you get treated better. Does he ever stand up for you? And OP replies, honestly, I do have a feeling that they won't celebrate this one either, but I'm kind of just thinking for about when they start the promises again. My brother has stood up for me for other things our parents have done, but he so far hasn't stood up for me in this situation at all, which kinda does hurt. And Smoky Junebug says, not the a-hole at all. Did your parents forget your 16th birthday altogether? My dad entirely forgot from the start. Like, didn't even say happy birthday, and my mum pretty much didn't care, which eventually led to her forgetting. For the first couple of months, she kept up with the promise, but eventually she just forgot. Hope that makes sense. And now on to the update. This is an update to a post that I made a few months back, where I asked if I would be the a-hole for not celebrating my birthday. The majority of responses were overwhelmingly kind and supportive, and I want to say thank you to everyone who passed their judgment. Many people advised that I should talk to both my parents and my brother about this situation and tell them that I didn't want to celebrate. Unfortunately, I only got through about half of this. I did talk to my brother, but around the time I was trying to talk to my parents, we had some serious familial issues come up, so the talk honestly got kinda pushed to the back of my mind. My birthday was last month, and in the end, my parents actually did celebrate, which was honestly surprising. I'm also positive that my brother has gone and talked to them and kind of got it through to them that they'd screwed up. The celebration was bittersweet overall, the party was genuinely very kind and thoughtful, and they did do a lot. It doesn't entirely make up for them forgetting last year, but I did appreciate it. I know this update isn't particularly thrilling or exciting, but I've had a couple of people ask for an update, so I thought I'd offer what I could. Again, thank you to everyone who commented on my original post. And in the comments, the baddest Patsy says, your old post made me so sad. Something I've learned about telling the reactions friends have to family problems is that when they brush you off, it's usually for one of two reasons. 1, they have a normal supportive family, and their imagination cannot stretch to imagine what it's like to actually have a family that doesn't care about you like they should. It's easier to imagine someone as a whiny brat than it is to imagine they're actually being hurt or uncared for. People like this will give you all sorts of terrible family-first advice. 2, they are going through something similar themselves and have chosen to repress it so it hurts less. If you're not in denial, it makes them panic because it hurts their denial. I know what it's like to have a heavily favored brother, and I'm so sorry it's happening to you. My brother and I get along very well as adults. It took me a long time to see that the favoritism damaged him too. I am long since way over the need to please my parents, but my brother struggles to find himself because he's so wrapped up in their approval. Dogs and Cats World 1000 says, good for your brother noticing the inequality and letting your parents know. I hope they continue to get their act together and treat you better. Happy birthday. And Snooper92 says, I'm glad you spoke to your brother and that your brother stood up for you. Sorry your parents have been so blatant with their favoritism, and I hope they keep working at it and treat you better going forward. G'day there guys, and that's the end of today's episode. I do hope you enjoyed it and were entertained by today's bloody good content. As always, I want to do a quick shout out and a thank you to all my channel members and Patreon subscribers. Your beautiful faces and names will be up on screen right now. Haven't forgot about you guys, sorry I was taking a little break there. So yeah, if you see yourself, give yourself a pat on the back. If you want to be on this screen, there's links down to the description below where you can sign up and help support the channel and all future projects that I'm going to be doing on this one. With all that said, I hope you guys have an amazing day, night, sleep, whatever you're up to. I'll see you in the next episode, and I do hope you enjoy it. Thank you.